Hello. Just wait for people to come over here. Okay, so yeah. Hi guys, my name is Richard Ferreira. I'm coming all the way here from Cape Town, in South Africa. I've been lucky enough to be able to come to a house and being able to afford our own flat where I stay with my beautiful girlfriend. And yeah, just going to share a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of recovery of what I've got and what I've gotten again through this past few years of everything. I hope you guys can find something out of it, and yeah, man, let's hope that it can go on and you can get something out of it. At least if someone takes out a message out of this tonight, a message of hope, definitely hope that it can be done. I really hope that you guys can take it from there. All right. So I'm just gonna start off firstly by saying the Serenity Prayer, and for those that want to join in with me, please do. And let's get a great cracking show afterwards. Okay. Just a moment of silence for the still suffering addict outside there, and yeah, let it. And for the ones that don't have a bed or a shelter or any way of life tonight, let's just ask that and then followed by the Serenity Prayer, please. So you can all just have a moment of silence. Alright. Who loves us? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Alright, cool. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm just going to explain to you how everything went from how it was back then when I was born. Not exactly born, just a short story of my life, and then it's going to go on with my addiction and that. I'm just going to move on with it and to what it is like now and what has changed since then. Okay, so I'm Richard Ferreira. I'm 29 years old. I'm an addict for about since the age of 14, 15. Started using drugs back then. So it's been coming on a long while. I grew up in a pretty well organized family. You know, every family has got their issues, and not everyone's people are perfect. But I grew up normal, you know. My mom and dad worked their asses off to keep us out of the shit, well, until a point of time, and they were always contributing to whatever we wanted to do to follow our dreams. You know, I'm the youngest son of three, we grew up in Secunda, Mpumalanga, and then moved from that back down there, back to Cape Town, when I was about 5 years old. I can't remember exactly anything, what my behaviors were back then, that was really putting up like a shula, that showed any signs of me being the way that I was or am now. We grew up very well. My dad was a very hard-working man. Since I can remember, my dad always used to love drinking. I love my dad to bits, but we have to name a spade over here, you know. Drinking was quite a big thing in our family, you know. In the beginning, I remember my dad always coming back from the pub, even when I went to go back when I went to practice after school for rugby or wrestling. He would normally tell me to come up to the pub, and where I would find him sitting after work. From there, we you know, I never actually understood what was happening from there, but it became what it was. It became a norm, you know, to see my with my dad. So I'm just reading the messages that are coming through this. and the guys are busy ripping me apart here. Anyway, and so it continued, you know. I started a very good sport of rugby and wrestling. I started wrestling when I was 4 years old. My dad and them all were in boxing, and we had a very sporty family. You know, my brothers also excelled very well in sport. It was more like a competition, you know. And back then, in the days of when we were younger, if we kind of showed a sign of weakness, a sign of emotion, we were very weak in a way. You know, if I had to like spill beans or something from my brothers to my mother, you know, I would be hit, or they would tell me I was a morphe or something like that, you know. So for me, showing emotion wasn't a very big part of me. And I used to sit with all those emotions inside myself, you know, and it would used to burn me up, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to do anything with it. And from there, it just started progressing, and I just thought that maybe, you know, if I don't show it and I hide it away, I'll be burying it under the carpet. And not knowing that later in these days, or later stages of my life, this would have progressed into something that I would be like a volcano exploding, and at due times, and sometimes lashing out at my mother and all the things for things that I never wanted, you know. God bless her soul, you know, beautiful person, my mom, I love her to bits. She's done everything and was the only person that ever stood up with me, stood up with my shit, let's put it that way. So as we progressed, I started coming back into high school. I started excelling very well in sport, A-team rugby, you know, the wrestling. I started going to South African champs and everything, and my academic wasn't so great, but it was good enough, you know. I was getting about 60-70% in each year. Not focusing a lot on it because sport was mostly my big point. So I still remember the first day when I started using drugs. I smoked weed at about at about the age of 15. Friends invited me to a park, and we still smoked from it. And I remember this great sensation of everything being lifted off from me, you know, the world's thing. At that point of time as well, my house situation was not the best at that point of time, you know. My mom and dad were busy fighting and everything. And just excuse me quick, I just need to put this ringtones off so you guys don't hear what's going on. There we go. Okay. So it was my escape from reality at that point of time, you know. A lot of pressure was coming on. It was wrestling, it was school, my mom, my dad, brothers, and my brothers were busy excelling, and I just couldn't never get it. It felt at that point of time I was trapped, you know. I couldn't get it, and my only escape was basically to move away from the reality was going through the drugs. I started drinking very, not early, but kind of like I started smoking my first cigarette when I was 10 years old. I had my first drink when I was 10 years old. You know, it was seeing my older brothers do it, so why not me? You know, it was very innocently, you know, trying to be part of the cool group, or try to be with my brothers and them. And you know, it just happened to be what it was, you know. I never thought of it as bad as what I do it now. You know, a person that's ever that would ever drink at that point of age would be just wrong. You know, I wouldn't let my child drink at 10 years old, you know, or smoke a cigarette at 10. But it was the curiosity, man, that got me down there. As I progressed, then my mom and dad divorced, or split up when I was about 16 years old. I still remember I excelled very well in my wrestling career. And then it got when I got back home from Egypt, went to Egypt to go represent South Africa. It was just a training camp, but when I came back, I still went out with my brother, and then only coming back at like 3 o'clock the next morning to find out that things weren't too great at home. You know, brother told me things that happened. I'm not going to go into detail, but you know, and this was it, and I could never really understood it, and that was the big thing that hurt me the most. You know, obviously no one wants to be that guy whose family's divorced and this and that, and through my weaknesses of what I explained earlier on, I just showed that to or shove that under the rug back in the day, you know, and I put it down there very deep down so no one could understand or well see what it is. And I had the beautiful mask and the manipulation of showing life was good. You know, I'm Springbok wrestler, I'm going everywhere. That next year I was supposed to go to Russia, but due to exams and everything, I didn't take it as it, and skipped that tour. But then afterwards, I flew to Morocco, and then I went to Algeria, and then I went to Morocco, and this was all India, excuse me, and this was all going up to about a matric, and drinking every weekend as well, you know, going out with my brothers and doing the normal thing. And I actually never realized what it all was entailing, you know. I still remember my mom clearly telling me that the way I'm continuing every weekend, that was in school as well, every weekend she says, my son, you better watch out. If I just listen to the rate you're going on, you're going to become an alcoholic. And I laughed at her and I was like, please, what do you know you're talking about, you know? Never literally taking it into consideration. My mom was also, when she was also 18 back in the day. My dad and brothers were also 18 back in the day, and I was just so self-conscious, you know, self-aware, self-will, running riot, saying that, listen, no one knows any better than me. It's only me and me and me, you know, me, myself, and I. It's my life. No one can tell me. As I continued with it, I went to India, and then I tore my first ligament in my left knee. And I could just explain to you everything that happened there. You know, it felt like my whole world was gone. I was aiming to go to the Olympics. That year, I was one international tournament away. If I had to go to that, it was a tournament in Spain. If I had to go there and win a gold or silver or bronze, I would have made it or been chosen to go to that Olympics. But this was back in 2009. So when this happened, I thought it was the worst thing in the world. You know, I started going into self-pity, and I didn't want to actually know anything. And yet again, that manipulation and that mask wearing, showing to everyone it's fine, you know, I'm going to do this. But back then I was quite big into the weed smoking, and done my chemicals of cocaine and ecstasy at that point of time. You know, just normal, casual, social using. But now the thing that I loved the most, my wrestling, obviously at that point of time, got taken away, and I needed to replace it with something that I had, that I wanted to keep it up, you know. And so the next thing that I liked more than wrestling was the drugs, you know. I started enjoying myself. Because I had to be a lot of discipline and be on practice, this and that. And by the time I injured myself, I was out of school. I didn't start working yet. I was only focused on myself and this. And I just have to put it in there as well, you know. I was keeping my mother so much hostage, you know. I wasn't working, bringing any income in. My poor mom had to raise us 3 children all alone from the age when I was 15. And I just kept on asking for money. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she was able to cope with everything. But, you know, I was just taking, you know, I became like a real addict. I was starting to take. And, you know, there was at a time that me and my mother there would be like 2 months going, and each day we would be fighting. And I put my mom so much through hell, you know. So I love her so much that I can't believe that she's standing well and alive. But let's look at the other side. She's also living a beautiful life right now, and grateful, I guess, that all 3 sons are doing beautiful, you know. So as we continue, it didn't actually happen. Not a lot of behaviors of showing that the addiction wasn't my thing. I was resorting to drugs a lot, but it's like people that were going for drinking for each weekend. That's what we were doing, you know. I achieved everything, and then from there I actually started learning what a trance party was at that point of time when I was 19, 20. And that became my new lifestyle. That became my new hobby. I started working just to go to trance parties. I would save up money, for a great event, and and then literally go drink and drug my eyes out by the time, or my mind out by that weekend. And I mean, I would be saving up good money, you know, working my ass off, where I could have saved for a car and everything, and I just went to go drug it up the whole weekend. Excuse me, I'm just a bit thirsty. And that continued for about 4 or 5 years. I just started doing that, worked as a bartender, you know, perfect situation for me. If I was feeling a bit shit, be working, I'd be throwing me a dope, and then after work, I'd go drink with the colleagues of mine at work, and then come home, and then that was my routine, you know, and then get off weekends, and then go enjoy myself while I'm just working the weekends. And I thought I was being a man, you know. I thought, like, okay, I'm working, I'm kind of supporting myself, even though my money wasn't lasting. I thought I had it all in the bag, and that's what life was about. Meanwhile, not looking at the destruction that I was doing, you know. I was unmanageable in finances. I was unmanageable in all in all areas in my life. I was unmanageable about relationships, everything, you know, even with my mom and all of them. I was just causing so much havoc, because all my mom wanted to do was to sit with me and enjoy ourselves, like with a wimpy breakfast or anything, and I just couldn't do it, you know. I just didn't care. I went on my own self-will, did what I wanted to do, you know. You can't tell me anything. I will do anything and everything. So, resulting to that, I moved to Witbank for work opportunity, and then I would say that's where my worst of my addiction started rising up. I started to know what tip was, and started using that. And coming back to Cape Town, okay, I'm going a bit too long with it, so I'm just going to skip to the parts now. And I would say that's where my story actually starts beginning, where I need to share this to everyone. I came back from Witbank to Cape Town after a very bad 2-3 years over there. Stayed on the street for about a week or two over there, jumping from houses to houses, couches to couches, working literally for 200 rand a day, and using that 200 rand for drugs. I became so thin. I started doing the desperate measures, you know. It was me, and I thought I knew the best way to run my life, and no one can tell me what, you know. Coming back to Cape Town, my mom was kind enough to give me a place to stay, and that's when I would say my addiction began. I went into a complete big daze of saying that, listen, like, you know, my life is fucked right now. I've got nothing. I can't get anything. I can't get everywhere. I went into a whole depressing situation, and from there I just laid in my bed and hoping. That was the first time in my life that I laid, and I was hoping that I would die, you know, rot away. I just didn't have the courage enough to do it. It felt like everything was gone in my life, you know. Eventually, God granted me some success, and I got a good job. Started working there, but I could never keep a stable job from there. That's when I'd say my manageability went to the worst, you know, because for everything that I needed to do, I needed to use the drug before I did it, you know. For me to walk outside, I needed to hit. I needed to take a hit. For me to take out the trash, I needed to hit something, you know. I couldn't just stop. It was an obsession and a compulsion, and everything that took over in my life, you know. Everything I I wanted to do, and for utter enjoyment, you know. I lived to use and used to live. That's how it went, you know. I couldn't do anything without it, and it eventually got me to sleeping in my car. Well, my mom's car at that point of time. I didn't want to stay at home anymore. I ran away from my own house, where there was good food, some shelter, showering, everything, and I just took it for granted, you know. And I just said I want to go away from everything, from this. And obviously my mother and them were kind of influencing. All they wanted to do was to save my life, but yet for me it was influencing my using. So why must I be there? I started staying at places, sleeping over at drug dens, started doing doing what a normal person or insane person would do. You know, my sanity was completely out of the window. I couldn't, but I guess I was in such a rut that I couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't find help, and my pride was so big. You know, from a Springbok wrestler to living in his car with everything. You know, the pride just was there. Was too big enough. I didn't know where to go and what to do. So eventually, the law caught up with me. You know, got locked up, and even then, back then, being locked up, it didn't stop me. You know, I put my mom through a lot of worse. I still went home. She had to come bail me out about 2-3 times, and I just didn't care. And then the last time I actually went to my first rehab, to a 21-day rehab. You know, I've been just drugging for about 10 years, and the 21-day rehab was supposed to help, and they actually kind of messed me up more than whatever. It worked for a bit, for 9-10 months, but I won't even say I was sober. I was dry, if you can call it that. I didn't know anything about sobriety. I didn't know how to live sober, to stay clean. I just knew that I was a dry drunk in abstinence, if I look at it now. And I just stayed away from the drunk, but meanwhile I was white knuckling my way all through, doing what I did. But even the behaviors didn't change then after my first rehab, you know. I stayed clean for about 10 months, 9-10 months. It just went completely to the wall, balls to the wall from there. You know, I relapsed on the New Year's. I remember they say in the big book that, you know, that no matter what geographical move you do, Eskimo will come to Iceland with a bottle of whiskey for you. Yeah, and I was in Namibia on an Orange River trip, and they just completely, for somehow, this guy brought a bottle of whiskey to me, and I relapsed from there. You know, I couldn't, I don't know, I had the worst day, but I had no emotional sobriety, I had no emotional support. Everything was a problem for me, staying away from my support structures, not having a sponsor, not speaking to a sponsor, not actually doing any program at all, and actually just completely losing it, you know, and it was quick, just like that. You know, I just lost it. Didn't have any ambition to even stop using, and just how it went. So once I relapsed, then they say once you relapse, you know, it becomes 7 times worse. You know, to come back into reality, you can come back into recovery, and I agree completely with that. You know, it was even worse than what it was normally. I had my girlfriend, I had a car, I had a place to stay. I got everything sorted externally, but internally it was gone. Literally in literally 2 weeks I lost everything except for the car, which was my house back at that point of time. I lost dignity, respect. Obviously my mother and them knew that what I was up to. I isolated so much that you know, that I didn't have friends anymore, or isolated away from my recovery friends. Excuse me for smoking. I'm one of the lucky guys to have cigarettes here in South Africa, and from there I completely lost all my dignity, respect. Excuse me, the cigarette's funny on cracker. There we go. And I started that compulsion and obsession, you know, to have money. All I wanted was to have a lacquer life, you know, be normal, be one of the responsible members of society, trying to be the person who my mom and God always intended me to be. I was in a grip of a disease, you know, cunning, powerful, baffling, you know. It didn't want to leave me alone, and I was no, it's Marlboro Blue Beyond Shula. There was times where I just couldn't. It just had me at the time, you know. I didn't want to stop. It kept on pushing me to use. I remember telling myself before I went to the dealer that, you know, I would be literally just finished with my stash, and I would tell myself, okay, this is it, you know, there's no more funds, nothing. And literally when I tell myself that, I would literally be on 5 minutes on a trip. The next thing I know, I'm stopping at my dealer's place. You know, it was so compulsive, it was so obsessive. I was so powerless over it, you know. Coming up to then, I actually lost the car, and my mom took the car away from me. Finally, because if she didn't, I would have sold that car as well. And all my personal belongings, you know. Basically, I had nothing left, nothing. And hey, I tell you, I ended up on the street telling my mom that I was sleeping at friends and everything, going in and out of cell phones, selling everything. And I just lost completely control, you know. I had my perception of reality was so insane that I didn't even become a normal person. I was becoming a pig. You know, I couldn't be anyone. I was not, no integrity, no responsibility, nothing. It was, you know, when you be on the streets or be on your own with the drug den people, you the man, you know, it's you and your world. No one can tell you what. After that, I was staying on the street for about a week, and then I asked my mom to book me into a bed and breakfast because I was dirty, I was filthy, and she luckily did. I'd stolen from my family, I'd stolen from my mom and them at that point of time, and yet again, she still found ways and means to help me, you know. And even not seeing at that point of time, I was not caring, you know, what she was doing for me. And my heart goes out to her tonight, just to say that thank you so much for carrying me all that way, you know. Thank you for being the mother that never gave up on a child. Obviously, she saw my potential and the things that I can do, and yes, she put me through everything, and I just wanted, but not just to my mom, to all the mothers out there from their addicts, especially Mr. Hall's mom, you know. So eventually she picked me up from the street. We went to the house, and then she told me about RAEL to go to situation. Now at first, okay, now I'm going to start with where the recovery begins. At first, when I got there, you know, I wasn't in for this. You know, I thought it was going to be like another 21-day rehab. You know, I just have to be there for a month, convince everyone that I'm okay and that I can do this. And you know, I was just fooling myself. You know, I never really understood the addiction deep down on downside. Tyler, I'm Richard, to be honest. Yeah, man. So I went there to RAEL, and it's a very, how can I explain? It's a very beautiful place, you know. A place that when you go there, your motives aren't right, but we get set in order, you know. We get told the truth there. We don't like to hear the truth about ourselves, you know. And there it gets said straight, you know, how it's supposed to be, what we've done to people, what we experience in life, you know. I always went into a thing called going into thinking I'm different, you know, no matter what, trying to fuck every system that I could, and I just couldn't get the system right. I just had to, I had to give in, you know. I ran away after a month at rehab, and after that, you know, I ran back to my mom, trying to see if I can manipulate her, and that was most probably my biggest icon in my life, where I ran back home, and for the first time in my life, my mom put her foot down and showed tough love, and she said, "Sorry, man, you don't want to help yourself, so I'm not going to help you anymore." And she actually closed the door in front of my house. Yes, Shula, I ran away for luxuries and NGs, and obviously didn't want to be there, you know. It's the truth. We have to accept it as it is. We how can I explain? I tried my utmost not to be there anymore, but I had no more choice. The person that loved me the most, that cared for me the most, the person that gave everything for me, everything. That's how far I went. That's how far I went into my addiction, to show her that a big stuff you in your face, you know, because she's even taking out money to pay for me, and yet I still want to do what Richard wants to do. It's insane, literally. All they asked for me was for 6 months, and I couldn't even do that for her, or even less than 6 months. It was actually to save my life. That was the best thing about it. So eventually when I came back, she brought me back to rehab. I decided, yeah, man, this is it. I have to make a plan right now. I don't have any more life skills. I don't have any more places and situations to go to. And I would say from that day on, a very difficult road. Recovery was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Still going to be the most difficult thing that I've ever done in my life. But from there it changed. I guess I could fully say that I surrendered at that point of time. Motive still being, listen, I'm going to be only for 3 months and everything. Just to let you guys know that I was there for 2 years and 8 months, to be honest. to be honest, and I'm just grateful for it. Thanks to Mr. Hall and RAEL for letting me be there that long, so I could change my life and become the man of integrity and responsibility and love and all those things. It's really amazing on how we how if you actually just take yourself out of the situation, focus on yourself to become the better of yourself, it's amazing how your world changes. I'm not going to sit here like a saint and say that, listen, once I actually surrendered, life actually just streamed up. There were situations still that I did. It's I still caught on a lot of cuck. I got almost kicked off a few times off the farm, and still did the addictive thing. I still did the addictive thing. I still had an insane mind. It was being naughty, man. But we learn from our mistakes, and we tend to learn from boundaries. I made a lot of mistakes. I still make mistakes today. I'm not perfect at all. Even from behaviors through to deeds. I still try and be the most person ever. My resistance to recovery was impeccable. I didn't have any form of self-discipline. They say recovery isn't the enemy, and recovery isn't hard. It's the resistance to it that makes the recovery very worse. I didn't want to go through the things that I needed to go. The discipline, the respect, the morals, values, they change. Me as an addict, I didn't smart change. Telling me my whole life's habits, survival habits that I've learned, I had to change completely. But it was the only way. I'm a very hard-headed person, and the only way that I was going to help was someone telling me the truth, telling me, listen, what you're doing is wrong. And that's my sponsor, Mr. Hall. He couldn't put it more clearly and more straight. He's taught me so much. Well, let's take Mr. Hall out of it. RAEL taught me so much. Taught me how to become a man, how to become open, how to become vulnerable, how to become human, how to have emotions, how to become a man of integrity, a man of a stature, which God, and I can't forget God about this. I had to find God. I had to find a higher power than myself. Otherwise, it would never have happened. It was only God that brought me through all of this, and through the discipline and through the morals and values at RAEL. But it was only God that brought me through the things that I have. It's a miracle I'm still alive today. And from there, I had to follow a program, and that's the best thing that we need to do. We need to accept. We need a routine. And that program of recovery. That's where we've done everything from getting a sponsor to doing service, doing your meetings, doing your step work, and obviously having your higher power. Being honest, open-minded, and willing. That's the thing. Thanks, Andrew. And that's the first thing we need to learn. We need to understand that it's a hard process, but from there, once we actually start learning from it, actually start grasping the things, how do we move forward from there? How do we move forward, becoming men of valuable, and becoming actually the human being a productive member of society. You know, that's the only way that I was going to. As I continued through, I started seeing that how the progression of my internal and external became. You know, I started becoming more fitter. I started losing. I was weighing, when I walked in, I was weighing at 68 kilograms. I was thin as a stick. I looked like a skeleton almost. And from there, okay, thank you, Tyler. That's beautiful. Look at the differences. Look at the similarities, not the differences, my brother. My internal walked away. You know, I had emotional sobriety. I had think. I could relate to things of the farm. You know, I could literally be able to handle situations that life has thrown at me. You know, not throwing my head in a spin and actually actually go into a doom and gloom phase. I started handling everything that life threw at me, of life on life's terms, you know. Externally, like I said, I was becoming fit. I started becoming, I looked nice, I looked normal, like a human being. I had glow in my eyes, started becoming fat around the cheeks. Everything that the drugs have taken away from me, you know. Becoming the normal person that God intended me to be. What it was like to be in recovery now, what it is like actually. So thank you, Lijo, thank you everyone. It's okay, we all have haters in the world. It's okay, it's his problem, not mine. I'm just going to go on. How it is to be in recovery now. Okay, so no one ever said that life is going to be all roses, ponies and unicorns and rainbows after this, you know, once you get into recovery. Life still happens, life still goes on. And for me, life goes on, and it starts by acceptance and surrendering to whatever happens. During this lockdown, you know, I just got out of RAEL, and literally this lockdown started. Amazing to spend it, because I'm spending it in my new flat with my beautiful girlfriend, and we were actually trying to have some nice peace and quiet time together. And that's how God works with it, you know. Everyone is struggling with money and things like that. But you know, what can I do? I can't fight it. I can't try and do the best of it. All I can do is accept and surrender to it, you know. Try and do on myself. Try and improve on myself. You know, actually in the greater scheme of things, a person can focus on your own recovery and actually try and embrace it and try and improve on everything. You know, I'm not perfect. You know, I'm still an addict. I'm still a human. I'm complacent. I've still got a lot of character defects, you know. But I tend to find what I have, and I need people calling me out on that. You know, otherwise I don't see it. Remember, I was the last person to realize I was an addict. The last person. I actually forgot to tell you guys, So while I was in rehab, Mr. Hall told me one day, and he asked me, well, what do you do? And I told him, listen, you know, I used to wrestle, and you know, I lost everything. Lost everything due to addiction, especially when I injured myself and I couldn't wrestle anymore. And Mr. Hall told me, you know what? If you stay sober, we will get you there to back to South African level again. And I must say, I never thought it, because if you had to tell me back then that 2 years and a bit later, I would be like a shula. I would be actually to where I would be now. I would be at having my own flat, having a good job again, getting back my Springbok colours. I would have told you you are joking. I would have laughed in your face, you know. So I started focusing on it, and life, or God, actually put me back in that situation. And at the beginning of last year, I started practicing for wrestling, which I haven't done in 10 years. In 10 years, you know, I'm fit. You have to be for wrestling. And what my body went through the drugs and all the pain and torment and this and that, you know, I just trusted. I put my head down, I put my head onto it, and that was one of my goals that I wanted to reach, you know. My biggest goal was first 1 year sober, and then from there, the resting came. And by the grace of God, I tell you, by the end of that year, I was nominated to be representing South Africa at the African Championships. I got my Springbok colours. So all the torment and pain that I've got, and I just have to thank God for that. Thank Mr. Hall for bringing me up to there. I can't forget the work that I've done. You know, I worked hard to be there, so I take things quite seriously these days. It just shows you what your mindset can put you through. All that exercise and you know of living life was not easy, you know, because now I had so much more responsibilities. I needed to be cleanliness. I needed to do my work from work. I needed to focus on my budget. All the life things that come up, you know, you needed to work with it, and that's what the beauty of this program does, you know. Situations that used to baffle us, you know, I could handle it. And I could always handle myself and be with the person and actually talk to people about it, and without any regret, without any shyness. You know, I became human. I became human again. I became a person that my mom always wanted me to be. You know, and that's just it's such an amazing feeling where where I sit here tonight with gratefulness. You know. It is the rewards of sobriety, Mom. You're right. It is the rewards of sobriety. And if I want those rewards of sobriety, I need to continue doing what I do. I cannot forget where I come from. And I can't forget where I'm going to. You know? And I use that to empower myself. I use it to go where I go. I need to keep on doing my routine, you know. If I don't have a routine, I become nothing. I start slipping in every places that could have. My addiction, I've got a disease of forgetfulness. The addiction comes in slimy ways. I forget to do this and I'm slipping. Sobriety loses its priority, you know. I'm at least thankful enough that for the internet, you know, I could do Zoom meetings that are another in thing there, you know, and I've got good connections still with the farm. I'm still contacting them. And I'm still trying to be the man who I need to be, you know. What I've gained in life now basically is besides the external things, besides the materialistic things, you know, I've got my emotions back. I've got life back. I've got love back. I've got sobriety. I've got honesty. I've got I can give you the list and list. These are the promises that the program gives us. This is the life that God gives us. And I've obviously got God as well that's on my side forever and ever. You know, I need to do what I need, and He will always provide for me. If I give my will to Him, and I give my life and my love and everything towards Him, He makes sure, and He always makes a way. You know. There's days where I don't understand why things are happening the way it is. But yet again, you know, it's God's will, not mine. And it's a new freedom, Yeshua. It is a new freedom. A freedom to live a person's life as beautifully as possible, you know. I need to keep on having goals in my life. You know, I can't stop, I can't stagnate. If I'm standing still, I'm standing still, but I need to move forward. You know, because that's when we get complacent. This is where these are the days now during this lockdown. These are the days where we need to push through. We need to move forward. We need to keep going on. You know, and the best way to explain it is always go back to basics. Basics are the best. You know, I've learned that from rugby days and from wrestling. Go back to basics. When in doubt, go back to basics. And there's always freedom into it. You know. If I need to speak, I will speak, you know. And today, I just can't. Today, I can't explain the mental and emotional sobriety I have today. What this program makes you do, you know, what God does. My sobriety counts on my spiritual condition and my emotional sobriety. if I can't handle things the way it is happening, hey, I'm going to make life very difficult for myself. If I can't sit and work things out the way it's supposed to. Sorry guys, I'm a bit nervous, so I smoke a lot when I'm nervous. When I have emotional and mental sobriety, that's the only way that it's going to. Gratitude as well, yes. The emotional sobriety is showing that, when things get you down, what am I going to do to move up? Am I going to go back to my default? Am I going to go back to my drug of choice? Am I going to do things that I used to do, my behaviors, all my character defects? Am I going back there? Or am I going to be man enough, take my shit that when it comes up and move forward? Try and change, try and be the upstanding man, and trying to be the one of sober, trying to be the change of the world, where honesty always brings us through it. Now mental sobriety, I know if I put my head to something, I will get it. I know when I know what I try and how I try it. When I do it, it will happen. If it's in God's will, it will happen, and that's the only way that it will do it. I just have to accept it. And I just want to share tonight this message of hope to you guys, that that anything is possible. If I do what is right, do the right thing, the next right thing will have it. I'm sitting to you today, 3 days shy of 2 years and 9 months, which actually to 33 months. 2 days ago, I've sat on 1,000 days sober, and I'm sitting in a flat with my own things, got life in my hands, got my family, got love, got a beautiful girlfriend, got a job. I'm sitting, I think I'm doing pretty better than what I used to, but I can't forget what got me there. I can't forget the people that helped me there, and I can't forget how I got there. I need to keep persisting through there. So just my message of hope to go today, guys, is that we can do this, son. There's nothing, recovery is not difficult. It's just the resistance to it. We need to put ourselves to a side. We need to take our own will and our lives and actually put it to the side and try to help the next person. And I only learned this through the grace of God at RAEL. Only through the grace of God. The hope is the one that brings us out. I can only share, and I hope one person can take us tonight to the heart and take it to their minds. And I hope this reaches out to someone of the newcomers over there, and to let them know that things are possible through recovery and God being placed first, and anything else on top of that will be lost. If I place those two first, everything else will be added. Seek the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added from there. But that's where we have to go. And yes, Shula, you're right. Remember the last chance saloon. That was my last chance. Although it took me a while to realize it. But it is. I can never get complacent. I can never get too bigger than the game. I have to stay humble. Have to listen to what gets said to me. Messages that get sent to me. Messages from people that are older than me. Wisdom. That's the only time that we can live from there. So yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you that I could share my message to you guys. I'm not saying it's perfect. No one is perfect. We're not looking for perfection. I'm only looking for progression. That's the beautiful thing about it. If I could be better than myself yesterday, then I've achieved my goal. And if I don't pick up just for today, that can only go from good times from there. And thank you to Carol and Cindy, sorry, not Carol, Cindy, that I could share on this platform, and to Mr. Hall for inviting me to send on this platform. You have to work recovery. You can't just sit back. We can't be a spectator, as Mr. Hall says. We need to be a participant. Otherwise, things will never change. I just want to read something that from the Step Working Guide. And just take it as it comes. It says, however, something remarkable occurred to us when we sat in our first few meetings. There were other addicts who had used drugs just as we had, addicts who were now clean. We believed in them. We knew we could trust them. They knew the places we'd been to in our addiction, not just the using hangouts, not just the geographic locations, but the hangouts of horror and despair and spirits had visited each time we'd use. The recovering addicts we met in NA knew these places as well as we did because they had been there themselves. So I'm telling you guys now tonight, this is where I've been. I know where you have been. And like Mr. All says, we're in the pit. And I want to be that guy for you with this message to tell you, listen, when I climb in, I know the way out of it. So please, guys, if you read this and you're a newcomer, just telling you there's hope. And keep faith. Find your higher power and do what you need to do. Get your recovery behind you. Not behind you, with you. Walk with your recovery. And start doing it 24/7. Things will start changing. So this is my things. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for all that listened. Life is amazing at this point of time. No matter how wrong things are, it can never get worse as what it was. And I keep on remembering. So have a beautiful night. Don't know what time it is there. It's about almost 8 o'clock now. And a big shout out to everyone that walked with me through this road. A big shout out to whoever was there with me. And obviously a big shout out to my family and loved ones that helped me. You guys are the best. And thank God. And thank RAEL. And thank you for this. You guys, this is really bad. I just want to end off by saying the serenity prayer as we understand it. And let us enjoy it while we can. All right. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Peace. So yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful night, and it helped a bit to listen to me. Thank you, Mr. Schuler. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Hope you have a beautiful night. I know I'm a bit 5 minutes short, but we can watch the thing again. I love you guys a lot, and thank you for watching. I'll speak again. Bye.